Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to another episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It's Tuesday evening, which of course, on this extended Easter weekend, means match day review show time. And myself and Stocky are going to unpack what was an impressive 1-0 win for the Gills over promotion chasing AFC Wimbledon on Easter Monday. That win comes in courtesy of a Gbode strike and an assist from Bradley Dack to give him goal contributions in back-to-back home games. Stocky, in terms of the game itself, just as an overview before we look at it in more detail, I thought we were full value for the 3 points.
Yeah, that's exactly the phrase I would use as well. I think first half there wasn't much. I think I'd say Wimbledon probably edged it just in terms of territory in our box compared to us in theirs, but we'll go through that in a bit. But I think second half there was only one team that was going to win it, and that was us.
Yeah, that first half there wasn't loads happened, but we'll go through that bit by bit. But we'll go back to 2 o'clock on Easter Monday first and foremost, and there were a raft of changes for the Gills, weren't there? Glenn Morris came back in goal, Johnny Williams started in the middle of the park. It was essentially a new front three with Aaron Rowe, Dacky and Ollie Hawkins all starting. So that side in full was Morris in goal, the back three of Gale, Masterson and Ogie. Wing backs, as always it seems now, Hutton and Clark. As we've already mentioned, Johnny partnering Robbie McKenzie in the middle of the pitch, who was the captain, and then it was Rowe and Dack supporting Ollie Hawkins. Plenty of options on the bench again. No real surprises were there in terms of what Gareth Ainsworth keeps telling us. He's going to give everybody a chance, but it was just sort of trying to work out what that front three was again, wasn't it? Whether it was going to be 2 supporting or 1, or whether we was going to use Aaron Rowe as a sort of auxiliary striker. But again, it was quite fluid, weren't it?
Yeah, no, it was, and it was like we said. You know, in the build up to the game, it was good to see a different formation on show and different personnel as well. And it seems as if Gareth's using this as almost like a pre-season, yeah, just to decide on what formations working, which personnel's working in certain formations. So yes, it's good to see he knows he's got at the moment just 3 swings, but at the same time it's also good that despite that we're either winning or drawing games and we're carrying that momentum on. So
yeah, we look at threat in games, don't we? So we've now scored in every single fixture under the stewardship of Gareth Ainsworth. I know we've only got 2 in one of them, but it's, you know, it's prolific compared to where we've been for the last few seasons, isn't it? But that first half, like you said, there wasn't a lot in it. Wimbledon probably had slightly more of the ball and maybe the better chances, if you can call them that. The one that stood out for me was the header from their centre-back, him of the tiny shorts, who probably should have hit the target, shouldn't he? In all fairness, he's got away from his man and he's middle of the 6-yard box and heads it into the rain.
Yeah, no, he should be definitely hitting the target from there. That was a gilt-edged chance on a Wimbledon behalf. You know, we came close. Sam Gale came close at the other end. I think it's cleared off the line.
Yeah, sort of glancing at it, looked like it was going towards that far post, and judging by Sam's reaction, he seemed to certainly think that it was going to go in the net. He's just not having a lot of luck in front of goal. He keeps finding himself in good positions though, which is really important.
Yeah, there was another chance where it looks as if it was kind of bobbling around the 6-yard area and hooked away by Wimbledon as well, but can't recall who that one was, but there wasn't too much to shout about in that first half.
No, aside from that, I don't think either keepers had to be extended to make saves, have there? There was a lot of, you know, balls played into good areas and then delivery into both boxes, but it felt like a half where both sets of centre-backs were probably on top.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously in that first half, kind of what we were just saying about the formation and the personnel and trying different things, it lasted, well, in reality 15, but it probably lasted about 2 minutes, because that's when Hawkins first pulled up, wasn't it? And he never really got going after that and was subbed for Joe on the 15th minute. So
yeah, we had to sort of change out the way we play, which must be really frustrating for Ollie first and foremost, and we just hope that it's nothing too serious and he gets to feature in the final 2. But obviously you know what Ollie brings in terms of his qualities. It's not going to be running in behind and stretching defenders, it's going to be playing to him and it sticks and we play round him, don't we? Which is probably the game plan for Gareth in terms of having Dacky and Aaron Rowe next to him. So that went out the window. You certainly said at the time you thought it was going to be better suited to Elliot Levitt, so we'll see how that went later in the episode. That's why we sit here and talk about it, and Gareth Ainsworth's paid money on a weekly basis. But
it's almost like he knows what he's doing.
You know, that's why he's unbeaten, and that's why he keeps winning football matches for us. Yeah, so you know, maybe they should give him a job somewhere in football. But yeah, it was we said the only way we could see how that was going to work was we would turn them round more, wouldn't it? Because you're not going to turn them round so much with Nev, and you're not going to turn them round at all with Ollie Hawkins unless you get people winning off his flick-ons. But in terms of standouts for the first half, it was probably another half of everybody was solid without anyone being spectacular.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair enough. There wasn't anyone that you'd pick out as like having a good game, or being a 7 or an 8 out of 10. It was a
middle of the road kind of 45 minutes, and that's for both teams.
Yeah, no, exactly. And both sets of squads, there wasn't anyone really that stood out from that first half. It was almost a bit of a non-event in a way. Yeah,
they had, who was the lad that got booked for them, ended up coming off second half? Was it Fuyo or something like that? I might have pronounced his name wrong. He looked a threat. There was another big lad they had up front that were, neat and tidy with it, but you never felt like we was under the cosh at any time. And I'm guessing if you ask a Wimbledon fan, they probably felt the same.
Yeah, no, like I said, Morris hasn't had a save to make, has he?
Neither's Goodman, has he? No.
To be fair, so yeah, I think that would be a fair reflection. There's a period where they got plenty of balls in the box, but credit to us, we defended it well, despite, especially after Hawkins going off, the kind of height difference between the two sides as well. They looked like they were towering above several of our players. So,
but the biggest scare came when I nearly jinxed it right at the end when the ball got rolled back to Glenn Morris, and I said just clear this upfield and we go in at half-time level, and he proceeded to kick it straight to, was it Matty Stevenson? Matty Stevens, a centre forward. But on Stevens, I think we were very good because he scored the winner at Plough Lane back at just after Christmas. I don't remember him doing anything of note at all, which is testament to our back three and our central midfielders.
Yeah, no, I don't remember him standing out or doing anything of note, being a threat or anything. So again, I think it also shows that we done what we needed to do at the back as well. The fact that he was kept so quiet.
Absolutely, and in second half, obviously shooting the walls of rain means you're thinking we're going to hopefully be the ones, pressing and playing a bit higher up the pitch, and I think that proved to be the case, didn't it? We were very bright from the restart. I think we won a couple of corners, there was a couple of throws, but I think when the goal came, without being negative, I'm not saying it was against the run of play, but it just felt like there was a bit of a lull in the football match. And then when the goal came, it was a bolt out of the blue, and to be fair, I'm not sure I didn't know Gbode had that kind of finish in his locker, because it's an absolutely brilliant hit.
First time finish into the top corner, but there's a good bit of passage of play actually. It actually started from Hutton, I think.
Yep, solid again.
Drove down the right, and I believe he managed to beat one man, and then I think he cut it back to.
No, he played it to the byline for Ducky, didn't he?
And then first time ball back, and then Joe's just run onto it and clean strike, roof of the net, keeper doesn't stand a chance, and brilliant, well worked goal, and good celebrations as well. It's like they've practiced that dance before somewhere. Yeah,
it's like they maybe done that in the gym or on the training ground and got in a bit of trouble for it. But certainly not some moves that I'm going to try and carry out. But really pleased for Joe, because we've always said we think Joe's better out wide. And I think if you ask 100 Gills fans, I think the majority would agree. I think the same, if you ask the same people about his effort and his work rate and his willingness to run through brick walls for the club, never in question at all. No. I just think there's a lot of aspects to his game that need polishing and refining. But that, ironically, when we've just said we think he's probably better as a winger, is the finish of a proper centre forward.
Yeah, exactly, and it was a good, striker's performance as well, just in terms of he's up against two absolute lumps at Wimbledon, and
even the one they brought on at the end didn't get any smaller, did he? Sam Hutchinson. No, and he got booked. I think that was his first contribution for bringing Joe down.
Well. But he's put himself about well. But we know the physical side of things that he can do. But sometimes the reason that I made that comment in Matchday Live, I just felt him up there on his own with two centre backs the stature of Wimbledon's and the type of centre backs they are. I didn't think, although he is physical, I don't think that would be his type of game on his own. It's a different
physicality. It's a physicality when he's willing to run alongside centre backs and full backs and try and beat them with a bit of just raw power and pace, rather than a physicality where the ball's coming into him and he's having to try and hold it, or it's got to stick to his chest. But like you said, I thought he did that side of the game fairly well as well. We laughed at me a couple of times, said he does the hard bit and then lets himself down with a pass. But in terms of an all-round performance, I thought he was really, really good, and obviously the icing on the cake was that side-footed finish right into the roof of the net, top corner, that ultimately won us the football match. Good to see Stocky have another positive contribution, 60 minutes. That's probably one of his highest amount in terms of minutes this season. I think he got 90 at Tranmere under John Coleman, but that was a really positive 60 minutes again in terms of experience, leadership, getting round a referee who we might mention at the end, and obviously it's one of them passes again that we're not sure anyone else really sees, because the tendency might be just to clip it back, stick and play the percentages, where he just waits that extra second for Joe and essentially lays it on a plate for him.
Yeah, no, he directs the game really well, and that's something that we picked up on the game before, the fact that he likes to organise, especially at set pieces as well. And yeah, he dropped deeper at times today, Bradley, but again, we know his qualities. We know that when we've not got the same player as the one that left us, but the way that he's performing, and especially with another goal contribution as well, there's a lot he could offer us next season in a kind of reduced role.
And the thing is today, because of the fact that Gareth's been brave and played Johnny Williams as an orthodox centre midfielder, it means that if Stocky does drop deep, then Johnny becomes the one that goes and supports the front two or front one, depending on how that system is set up at the time. So, and Johnny again I thought just got better and better as the game went on, and we needed that composure and that experience to see the game out at the end. Yeah,
he did. He battled well in there as well, and as well as Robbie McKenzie's second half, I thought was absolutely solid. I noticed him a lot more breaking up play, Robbie McKenzie, and getting about the pitch, which you know what you're going to get from Robbie McKenzie. He's that type of player where whatever position he's in,
just no frills, and he just gets on with it.
Does the ugly side of the game really well, but a vital part of our squad. And you know, next week's the awards ceremony, and hopefully be picking up one or two awards, definitely goal of the season.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely nailed on, in fairness.
Yeah, and yeah, hopefully another one as well, because he's probably been one of the more dependable players, even when we're going through the...
Yeah, he's the one that stood up, and every time, even when we've had them horrible winless runs and we've had to change manager after manager, he's the one that's just always been the 7 out of 10, the 8 out of 10, which is great to see. And it really is good to see, because I think we've all agreed that previously Robbie McKenzie's almost become a victim of his own versatility, and now he's nailed down a position and he's absolutely excelling in it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you say, he's the one that would always play right back, left back. He's had to spell up top
centre back, number 10. Yeah.
But yeah,
I think it's the only place he ain't got is in goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sponsors man of the match was Johnny Williams. Got no issue with that. We said like during the game there was plenty of contenders.
Yep.
One person who I want to give a big up to today is one that comes under for a bit of stick, because he likes to take a chance, and I think sometimes the way he plays the game just makes him look a bit casual. But I thought Shad Opie was absolutely immaculate all afternoon.
Yeah, no, he was good, and I think you know, the past few games, especially that kind of the centre backs, Gale, Masterson and Ogie, I think they've been solid. They've not done an awful lot wrong, and
weather's changed, you can probably hear it.
Shad, you know, sometimes he is a bit
chancy,
yeah. You just worry sometimes when it comes to him, but you know,
he's clearly been teaching Glenn Morris as well. I've just remembered that as well, because I think I grabbed your knee like Thierry Henry, Jamie Carragher style, just with a cheaper suit, unfortunately.
He's done that a few times this season, Morris, and I think like now that he's reached the age of 40,
he's gone, I'm going to enjoy myself.
Yeah, exactly. But no, he done well, didn't he, Morris? But yeah, no, he was good today. My standout player, I thought Rowe. I thought he was excellent today.
Yeah, a lot of times he was taking really the ball in tight spaces and managing to wriggle free, weren't he?
Yeah, no, he looks like the player that everyone was excited about when he first came in at the start of the season. So it's good to see that these players are hitting a bit of a stride. I know the season's kind of over for us in a way, but it's good that they are reaching the kind of potential that.
They're playing for shirts for next season, aren't they? Yeah, they want to be in the side first weekend of August, like everybody does. So it's only beneficial to us. And I think the last word goes to Gareth Ainsworth again today, because you know we know what he does, just get it, and he's constantly cajoling his players. He's heading everything, he's clearing everything. I think he'd probably tackle someone if he was allowed. Yeah. He's conducting the orchestra, and he as well. Yeah, and then obviously it was great to see him and Joe at the end. In unison, just about, maybe, kind of, doing some sort of fist bump and whirring arms. But yeah, I think the phrase that you just said sums it up. He just gets it, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think a lot of that mentality is from his career playing for teams lower down the league table, and you know, his spell at Wycombe as well. Kind of smaller team, punching above their weight at times, and hopefully it's important not to get carried away, because we've been in this situation plenty of times over the last few years. Is, you know, I know we're unbeaten since he joined us, but we know there's going to be bad spells along the way, and
he keeps telling us that as well, doesn't he? He's not, you know, he's been in the game long enough to know how it works.
Yeah, but no, you know, as long as we can keep this going as long as possible, then momentum is like massive in football. But as we've seen from the last 2 years now, we start off like a steam train, and then it's just
run out of steam.
Falling down. Run out of steam. It's falling down from there. So.
But yeah, all we can do is enjoy it one game at a time, and at the moment, and this was certainly one game and one performance to enjoy. Like we said, we thought we were deserving winners. It's another game against a side in the top portion of the table, and we've not looked out of place, and we've more than competed and outplayed them at times. As always, thanks for watching. It's been a busy weekend, so we do appreciate all the support on the channel. I know it's difficult because people have got family stuff and other commitments over the bank holiday weekend, so all your views, all your likes, all your subscribes are really appreciated. Please continue sorry, to keep hitting that like button, and please consider hitting subscribe all the time. We've got one person in the back who's been waiting patiently, somebody Mystic Ava, who did say on the Matchday Live, which hopefully you've all watched, that we were going to win 1-0 and Gbode was going to climb off the bench and score said goals. The last 3 words come from Ava.
Up the Gills.
Up the Gills indeed.